again, folks, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, thanks very much for stopping along. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button just down there. Hit the bell icon as well, and that'll keep you informed as to when there's new videos. So the BMW F850GS A. I've had it for about a week now, riding it every single day in and out of London. Had a bit of a spanking with it out with the boys. I didn't film that one for obvious reasons. So what's it like? Well, it is by no means a bad motorcycle. It really isn't. Now for me, everything now is compared to the R1200GS. I've had the GS's for about the last couple of years, probably done in the region of 50-60,000 miles on the two of them. Done a little bit of light off-roading, done track days, done all sorts on them. And they are still, and I still find this hard to believe, they are still my favourite motorcycle out there for general day-to-day riding all round. They do 95% of the things almost 99% well, if that makes sense. Now obviously this one, it's an 850cc engine or thereabouts, so it can't compete with the 1200 or the 1250 in terms of power or everything like that, but it's supposed to be a viable alternative to it. But that alternative is what I'm struggling with. I don't see where this sits in the market, to be honest. These are my issues. So why would you get this, the 850, and not the 1200 or 1250? Well, you folks have been leaving comments on my social media when I've mentioned that I've been on this, and on the last review when I did the standard 850GS, not the Adventure, the standard one. Now people were saying they would go for the 850 compared to the 1200 if perhaps they were a little bit shorter in stature, they were a little bit smaller in person, and they thought this would be a lighter bike and easier to move around. Now here's my argument, and this is what I'm struggling with. Because this isn't the big pot cylinder engine that the 1200 and 1250 is, where all that weight is nice and low down, which makes the bike incredibly manoeuvrable and flickable because the centre of gravity is so low. With this, it's more like a conventional bike, and the weight's much higher up. I actually find this harder to move around off the bike and on it than I do the big 1200. Now I'm 6'3", around about 20 stone. I am not a shrinking violet by any stretch of the imagination, but I do find this a little bit trickier to manoeuvre. Maybe it's me, I don't know. Secondly, seat height. Now this to me seems every bit as high as the 1200 or 1250, if not a little bit higher, to be honest. I don't know if the stacks and figures work that out. All I know is how I feel when I sit on the 1200 or the 1250 and how I feel when I sit on this. So to me, it's about the same seat height or higher, and it's actually harder to manoeuvre around off the bike. My next issue is because you have that lack of power. Now see, on the 1200 I could just blip past that. On this, there's a little bit of a lull, just more of a lull. Perhaps where I would take that in fourth, you have to do it in second or third in this. So it's probably just getting used to that, the different riding style, I suppose. But because of that, it doesn't feel as easy on a day-to-day use as the big 1200 or 1250. It does, however, have quite a nice little rumble to it. This is a stock can. It doesn't sound too bad once you're moving. On tickover, it's a bit of a non-event. The fueling on this, pretty decent to be honest with you. That's me in fourth gear, plodding along at 30 odd miles an hour. We are in the 30 officer. As fourth gear, it's not pulling and searching for fuel a lot of the time. Remember, that's an issue I had with my old Tuono. Doing the city riding, even in first gear, it was all the time. Even in fourth or fifth gear, sitting at 80 mile an hour, you couldn't hold a constant throttle on the Tuono. I'd love to try the new one actually and see if they've fixed that issue. This is chain drive, not shaft. I don't really notice any difference, to be honest with you, between the chain and the shaft drive when I'm riding this compared to the 1200. It's got a not bad turn of speed. There we are, 40 miles an hour in fourth, into the Nationals. Bang, that's us up at 60. it's okay, it's not bad. It's perfectly respectable, but again, it's not the bigger brother and sister. It's not the 1200 or the 1250. Handling wise, oops, put a bit of a spanner in the works. Road closure up ahead. Yeah, it's just quite a nice bike to ride actually. Fairly manoeuvrable, fairly easy to flip around. Doesn't, to me, not as planted and stable on the ground as the bigger 1200, 1250. Obviously it's lighter, the centre of gravity is a little bit higher up, but it still gives you loads of confidence. You know, we've had temperatures ranging from sort of -1 to, what are we today, 15 degrees over the last week. So early mornings, coming home from nights or going into work, I haven't felt any issues at all with the bike, through the tyres, anything like that. It's a good, solid bike. Okay, let's do the left, see where that takes us. This thing comes with a quick shifter and a blipper as standard. Now they are quite agricultural. Once you're getting a little bit of a lick on, they're a lot smoother, definitely. A bit like the same as the bigger 1200, 1250, to be honest. They're a little bit tractor-like. I thought the blipper and quick shifters were excellent on the bigger bikes, but then when you try another bike, for example the K1600, which hopefully, if you've not seen that review yet, check it out in the box up above. That one there felt ultra smooth, really smooth. And then things like you know, the new Jigsaw Thou quick shifter and that, Lamb Chops was telling me, is absolutely divine. I'm hoping to be able to get a shot of one of them, either through Suzuki if we can mend some bridges, or alternatively if there are any dealerships out there who want to give me a little loan. I'm getting a feel for sports bikes again. I also want to try the new R1, to be honest. Well, not the new R1, the R1. It's been out for ages, so I want to give the R1M a shot if possible. And with good old BMW, there's the new S1000 RR. What a weapon. 206, I think it is, or 207 brake horsepower. Oh my god. Oh, this looks lovely. What is this? The boathouse. I can't believe this is down the road from me and I've never seen it before. Hang on a minute. Teapot Island. What? I think some of you have mentioned this in the comments before. Teapot Island. Ooh, it's a bit nice, isn't it? This is literally 10 minutes down the road from me. Why have I never been here before? Anyway, back to this. What's I talking about? Quick shifters. Yeah, a little bit agricultural, but does the job. I would say if you're not under acceleration, like good acceleration, and probably below 30 odd miles an hour, maybe even 40 miles an hour, I wouldn't bother with a quick shifter, just use the clutch. See there, that was second to third, just over 30 miles an hour, a little bit of acceleration on. It's quite clunky, but it's not bad. I love these old Oast houses. They're gorgeous, all round Kent. Worth a blooming fortune. Now that is something I do not like about this bike, the brakes. This doesn't come with the telelever suspension that the 1200 and 1250 has. If you don't know, the telelever suspension means that when you hit the brakes, rather than the front of the bike diving down like this, the whole bike sort of sinks down like that. It takes a little bit getting used to. I didn't like it when I first got on the GS, I've got to admit, but very quickly you get used to that, and it just makes the bike so much more stable, so much more confidence inspiring as well. Under, you know, you can brake fairly heavy and the bike just sort of sinks into it. It's lovely. You get on this, now this has particularly soft front suspension, even in the dynamic mode, which should firm it right up, and it's got quite a hard rear. It means when you hit the brakes, the whole front feels like it's nosediving all the time, and the back is pushing you up, so as you come to a stop you get this sort of seesaw effect. Don't like that. No doubt you could sort that out, but why should you have to? And you know, for a couple of grand more you jump on the bigger bike and it's just perfect. So again, another reason why I kind of think, why would you go for this and not the bigger bike. It may be you haven't got 17, 18 grand or a couple £100 a month for the finance. Fair enough, whatever. You know, if that's the case, that's the case. This is a great bike to go for, but it's not the bigger machine. That's all I'm saying. Don't shoot the messenger. Just dropping this back off at Cooper's, and I'm picking Helga up. Helga's been in because she's not been very well. Still not sure what the issue was, but basically she wouldn't hold idle. Just coming into work on a Friday, I noticed on the M20 you could just hear the engine note change a little bit. Didn't quite sound right or feel right. Felt like she was down a little bit in power, and then as I got into the city, as I was approaching junctions and roundabouts and things like that, or just coming stationary at a set of lights, as soon as you hit sort of below 1500, 1200 revs, the engine would die. She just couldn't hold idle. So quick phone call to Cooper's. They took her back in on the Saturday. Apparently they needed a software update, which they've done, and I'm not sure if that fixed the issue or not. I'll have a chat with them when they get there and report back next time. That's where I notice. That is where I notice a little bit of the lack of power. It's by no means a slouch, don't get me wrong, it really isn't. But you have to wring its neck a little bit more than you do the 1200. But it's actually a fun bike to ride, you know. I'm not bored by any shape or form. What are you thinking of the new cameras, folks? I've got the Hero 7 here. Got that built-in stabilisation. To me, I just think the picture quality on the GoPros is head and shoulders above anything apart from the Sonys. But the Sonys are a good few years older now, and they produce massive file sizes for the equivalent resolution that you get on the GoPro. There's good things with the Sony. Andy Mancam uses them, Bulldog Gaz. If you've not checked them out, check them out. I'll put some links down below. The Sonys have a great feature on their remote where you can switch the cameras on and off via the remote, but your camera isn't swallowing battery life whilst it's in standby. I don't know how they do it, but it's got quite a good battery life. These GoPros, you're looking at 40 minutes to an hour, depending on ambient temperature and things like that. The cold really zaps these batteries. But I will be doing a review vid and a comparison vid of this against the Ghost S and the Ghost 4K. A lot of people asking about my setup and things, so that vid's on its way too. Lots coming this year, folks, lots and lots. Got a trip over to the Canaries with Canary Motorcycle Tours in a few weeks, can't wait for that. Got some bikes coming from BMW and KTM actually. Might be doing some work with Custom Fit Guards. They seem to be smashing the social influencer side of things. Good to see. But as ever, folks, I'll tell you exactly how it is. This is not how I make my income. Like you, I've got a day job. This is a bit of fun and games. So you'll get exactly what I think, warts and all. That said, if there's any of you folks out there with products, companies, anything like that, bikes, anything to do with biking, clothing, kit, cameras, anything like that, if you'd like to get in touch with a view to be doing a review on it, a bit of exposure on this channel or a bit of cross exposure, feel free. If you're another moto vlogger, I don't care how big or small you are, get in touch. The whole point of this channel is getting out there to meet the biking community out there. I want to see as much of the UK, Europe and the world as possible, and I want to explore it with you on bikes. What better way is there to travel? If you've not seen my around the world vids yet, hit the playlist, there'll be a link up above. Check that out as well, folks. Now, a lot of people seem to be enjoying the IAM vids that are put up, those initial rides. I've not actually started my proper IAM course yet. I've just been working all the time recently. It's just mega busy. But that will come eventually. I'm actually on a job bike course next month, which basically is the IAM. So I'll automatically qualify for IAM through that. But I still want to do the IAM course and vlog it for you guys. I'm trying to see if I can vlog the job bike course, but I don't think they're going to let that happen. Anyway, never mind. I digress. Now, I'll put things like the RRP, service schedules, rough service costs and things. I'll put that on the screen now. And that's us nearly at Cooper's, folks. So, what do I think? Would I have this over the 1200 or 1250? Well, as you can guess, no, I wouldn't. But why would you have this and not the 1200? I suppose financially, that's the reason. If you can't stretch to the 1200, 1250, then this is not a bad option at all. Apart from that, I can't think of any reason why you would go for this. I really can't. It's been a topic of discussion at work with the boys, actually, to be honest with you. Why would you have this and not the bigger bike? Well, like I said, it's not for size and weight issues, because it actually feels harder to move around than the bigger bike. So off-roading wise, I've not taken this off-road, but for that very reason I'd have thought the bigger 1200 would be the better choice for off-road, because all that weight's low down, making it much more manoeuvrable. This is a chain drive, not shaft drive, so there's a little bit more maintenance involved. You're going to have to lube that chain and tighten it. Shaft drive, you can just forget about it and move on. But as ever, folks, you cannot beat making your own mind up. So get yourself along to your local BMW dealership and take one out for a spin. See what you think yourself and let me know. Well, that's us just pulling up, folks. Thanks very much as ever for all your support, for all you patrons out there and all you regular subscribers and commenters. Top job, people. Thank you so much. You mean the world. You really do. You're keeping this channel going. Now, folks, you look after yourself. Remember to get out there and, most importantly, live your life.